Welcome to the Tangent Podcast. Great to have you with us today. And we got a little bit of a curveball in the Idaho students case. 4 victims in that case, 1 defendant. But now we're going to talk about what the defense will be, because it seems quite obvious to me where they're going to go, where the focus is going to be. Obviously, they're trying to exclude evidence from being put in front of this jury, but there is some unknown male DNA. Unknown male DNA that could, it's what the case is going to be about, at least during the guilt phase. So we're going to talk about it in this video. I'm Vinnie along with Al Wunsch the third. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Al Wunsch the third, and the radio legend Jonesey. This is the Tangent Podcast.
Hit it. It's Vinnie and the Tangents, true crime podcast. Vinnie has the blue eyes, Al cracks the jokes. Jonesey stays behind his shades, entertaining all the folks. It's Vinnie and the Tangents, true crime podcast. Load up all your comments, hit those super chats. Let's go smash that like button, so we can all have a blast. Vinnie, Al, and Jonesey on the job. They're the Sugar Hill gang of true crime. They're telling stories of days gone by. They take crime and turn into a good old time. It's Vinnie and the Tangents, true crime podcast.
It's Friday. Happy Valentine's Day to all our Valentines who are watching. Great to have you aboard.
Happy Valentine's
Great to have you all aboard on the program. There we go.
Ben, if I may.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you know this or not, but I was requested to be the spokesman for the Valentine family. Okay. And they gave me a letter that they want me to read. And if you give me the opportunity now, I would like to read it on behalf of, as the spokesman for the Valentine family. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Greetings, Tangenistas. The Valentine family is eternally grateful that you helped Vinnie hit 100,000 on YouTube. Quite frankly, if this did not happen when it did, we don't know what we would have done. We were getting pretty fed up with his telethon-like pleadings, appearing with orphans, assisting old ladies across the street, whether or not they wanted to go across the street, and the tote board with the drum roll reveal. We still don't know how he was able to get Sarah McLachlan to sing that sad song with Vinnie next to her and the one tear coming down his eye. We were impressed, however, with his orchestration of getting Moo Dang a shout out and a picture next to him. In conclusion, thank you, bless you, and viva la Tangenistas, signed Vinnie's family.
There you go. Yeah, 100,000. That's a huge number. Has lots of implications, including at some point we will get a silver button from YouTube.
Nice.
A silver button.
A silver play button. They send you like a plaque, I guess, or something. I don't know, but I think it's going to help the distribution of the Tangent Podcast and all the live streams on the channel. So that's great. But again, couldn't have been done without the incredible work of all the Tangenistas and everyone else spreading the word, getting their friends to subscribe, and of course, Big Boss Bo's helping us get over that number as well. It's going to be it's a milestone. The next milestone will take some time, but this one we did it because we didn't start live streaming until 10 months ago. So basically 10 months, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Pretty cool. So we're extremely happy about that. So, and I couldn't have done without you guys. I mean, I could just have a moment.
Nice microphone.
Could have been a contender.
Hey Al, that microphone in the opening that you're using at Rascals, it's like one of those old styles, like Vivian uses from The Damned. Is that yours? Rascals didn't provide that,
no,
right?
No, that was Rascals. That was
Oh,
Rascals.
really?
Yeah.
I'm into stuff like that. Old mics.
That was the old Rascals equipment up there.
There's Al cracking the jokes.
I was I was the MC on Tuesday nights, and for their program that they had on a cable station that you had to hook your TV up to a toaster.
No. It's Time Warner Cable. It was Suburban Cable, TV3.
It was Suburban Cable, and it was horrific. I mean, it really basically what would end up happening was that they would, we had a makeup girl that basically made me up to look like I was a silent film star. And
that's cool. Yeah. That's actually cool. There was a worse program. There was a worse program on Suburban Cable Television 3. It was the Glenn Jones television show where I impersonated Uncle Floyd. Like pretty much I stole Uncle Floyd's format. I was me behind
the desk. Show on TV3, Jonesy?
Yeah, well, after I wasn't doing radio for a while, I knew about public access, which cable companies were forced to allow the public on the air, and contacted Suburban Cable, used a friend's address because I lived in Comcast land, and they would lend me the equipment, and I would shoot the show at home, and I'm very proud of this. Like I wanted a set. So my friend was lived in a funeral home. He was the son of a funeral director, and he gave me like one of those curtains things that they come in a suitcase, and then they build into an entire set. So it looked like the Tonight Show behind me. It was very nice. But it was a terrible show.
Is saying that it looks like Elvis Presley doing stand up here, Al.
Yeah, it was awful. We had one really good episode.
The one thing I had going for me was my lead-in on that Tuesday night was the Rick Turner show. So I was getting a ton of audience people.
Oh,
that were just sitting there after watching Rick, then coming in to see me at Rascals. So
who's
Rick Turner was a character. Dino Simone, cable TV equates to Flintstone TV.
Yeah, wow. And that's why, hence the fact that I needed a toaster to basically, and the longer if the darker the bread was going to get, the longer my signal stayed. So that's how that would work.
Al, you may or may not know this, but I used to work the cameras for Rick Turner's show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, because I did the news there, and
at Channel 10.
He did a show out of the same studio, so it was like that was the fun night when Rick Turner would come in to do some episodes. So I say, I'll do the camera. I don't care. That'll be fun. So he was a character. He was a character.
He was a very nice guy. It was a guy that, I mean, he really he had a very unique style. He actually was quite entertaining. I appeared on that show with Charlie Callis a couple of times, and he would have I was on one show. He had Peter Tork was on, and so I mean,
I remember that. No, he had big time guests.
Yeah,
he had the Fifth Beatle came in. That was great meeting him one night. The original drummer, Best. He came on. BJ, or is it Bice? Al was a looker.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Still is.
Still is. All right. So let's get to this unknown male DNA. Okay.
It's not mine.
It's exactly. Well, here I want to begin with this. First of all, the suspect, the defendant, I don't use his name, but his DNA was found on the little snap on the knife sheath found with two of the victims.
Right.
Okay. So that to me is such overwhelming evidence. They're trying to get it thrown out. They're huffing and they're puffing. It's their only play, which I get. But this unknown DNA now, how does that impact this trial? How does the defense use it? What's the argument that they make? Because, you can't, can you, on the one hand, argue ignore the DNA right next to the victims, but pay attention to this blood, this unknown blood DNA that was found on a handrail in the home, and the unknown male DNA blood on a glove outside?
No, the thing is this, where this is coming into play is that the defense is using it to try to invalidate the search warrants that were signed relative to this case, and using it to say, wait a minute, you know what, this information wasn't given to the magistrates who were looking at these search warrants. They purposely withheld that information. They kept it quiet, and therefore the search warrant was tainted. If the search warrant's tainted, we have this theory called the fruit, or a policy called fruit of the poisonous tree. Therefore, this evidence gets suppressed.
Right. So if the search warrant is bad and unlawful, everything that results from that search warrant becomes inadmissible, which would be, in this case, the DNA.
That's
right?
And that'd be huge.
So they're using. So what you're saying is they're using this to try to get the other DNA out. Here's what I'm saying. They're not going to win that motion. It'll be their appellate issue, right, down the road when he gets convicted, because I believe he will. But at trial, I think they will use it as well. They're not just going to leave it. They're going to introduce that in front of this jury. So let me do this. Let me throw this at Jonesey. Jonesey.
Yeah.
What comes to your mind when I tell you that there's unknown blood DNA of a male on a handrail inside this home, unknown DNA of a male in blood form on the glove found outside of the home, in addition to the defendant's DNA found on the little snap on the knife sheath that was found at the scene?
Okay, so as first of all, with the banister, the blood there, the thing I would wonder is how old was the blood? Because it could have been like somebody cut themselves shaving or something like that ages ago. But when you say there was a glove outside, okay, so that means it likely happened that night. It makes me think one of two things. It doesn't make me think that this guy is innocent. It makes me think that perhaps there's one of two possibilities only. He had accomplices, or there were other potential victims in the home who wanted to get the hell out of there for whatever reason. But that's extremely unlikely. So I have no explanation for the blood, but it doesn't make me, and I'm not in a courtroom, and I can hear whatever I want to hear and decide whatever I want to, whatever conclusion I come to. Doesn't make me think that he's innocent, but I am intrigued by it, most certainly. There's something there. Won't the prosecution have to explain this in some way or another?
Yes, and here's the other thing: do they treat all the DNA the same? Because what we have learned is how they actually made this arrest is that they took the DNA and it didn't show up in any of the CODIS, where all known criminal defendants and people who've had to submit their DNA into a FBI law enforcement database. There were no hits there because this suspect had no history. So they end up enlisting the FBI, who then goes into some of these genealogy sites. Like, it wasn't 23andMe, but it was another one, into some genealogy sites to try to figure out the potential source of this DNA based upon familial connections. And that's how they were able to get to him. But they didn't do the same thing with the other DNA that was found. Does that become is that a problem
Yeah.
you, Jonesy, that they
Yeah.
don't treat the DNA the same way that they treated the DNA on the snap.
Yeah, well, that's like the the classic defense of it's like OJ. Like you decided that that he did this thing, and you went out to prove it. Speaking of OJ, with the glove being found outside, was OJ still alive when this happened, so that the defense can like point the finger towards him?
He was still alive.
There you go. That's my
It was
defense.
the same glove.
Right. Yes.
See that?
Yes. He was taking it. He was taking it to be sold at a sports memorabilia show in town, and he dropped by for a quick fling.
So, Al, are you troubled at all by the fact that these two samples not dealt with seemingly? Again, we don't have all the information. Limited. What we learn is what they talk about in court and what goes into court papers. There's gag orders. It's not open. We don't get to see all the discovery like we do in cases down in Florida and other states. But are you troubled if it turns out that law enforcement did not take a look at this unknown DNA the same way they looked at the DNA from the knife sheath?
No, because there's other key evidence. There's key DNA evidence, obviously, with the knife sheath. And, that's the central point of the case anyway. The fact that maybe there was other people involved, although I think that that's highly skeptical, doesn't really, it's not exculpatory to the man we're not naming. So under those circumstances, it's a red herring. It's just basically
Wait. What is a red herring?
It's a herring that's red.
But
my guess is that most herrings aren't red, so it's unique.
So what makes a red? What is that? I don't understand that term. It's a red herring. I've never understood it.
Well, I mean, like the thing is it means that it's nothing. It's really.
I know how we use it, but I literally don't know what a red herring is. An actual red herring. Do they exist? Or is it something that doesn't exist, a red herring? I'm fascinated by all of these little phrases that we use.
A red herring becomes red when they dry it. And that's how it's a smoked herring is smoked. Okay, smoked herring, and it becomes red in that process. It is a clue or a piece of information that's intended to be misleading or distracting. So that's what it means.
But why would that be a red herring?
I don't know. Look,
that makes no sense to me.
I'm reporting on what I know from the historical standpoint.
These are the things that boggles men's minds.
I mean, a stitch in time will save 9.
That makes sense. If you don't address the problem, you don't sew your pants, then it's going to continue to tear. That one makes sense.
But then you listen to like "Ring Around the Rosie," "Pocket Full of Posy," and then realize that song in and of itself denotes the Black Plague.
Yeah, nursery rhymes were famous for being really sick.
So I mean, that's how. If you start like looking into the basis of all of these things, a lot of them have a very nefarious.
So is herring something you'd get at like a Jewish deli or something like that?
Yes.
Does it go with bagels?
Not necessarily with bagels, no. But I mean,
there you want the lox.
Yeah, lox, the lox is more of a bagel thing. Although I'm not a fan of cream cheese or bagels. I mean, I like bagels, but I don't like cream cheese. I'm
not a big fan of bagels, man. The New Jersey hard roll was where it's at, but that's like really hard to find now.
Oh, I love a good bagel.
Good bagel. There's nothing.
It's got to be a good bagel. It's got to be boiled and baked.
Yes, and you know what? And it's got to be Jersey water, because I got to tell you that like New Jersey and New York are the only two places to get bagels. At bagels, every other place is basically like a Ritz cracker. It's just nothing there. So,
Niners girl. This is an interesting theory. Maybe he planted it there. He does have a criminology background.
But see,
is he that sophisticated that he would plant a glove at the scene that, you know, he was able to extract someone else's blood from. And I don't know where he would get the blood.
If he made the mistake of leaving the sheath there, you know, I don't think he's that together that he would have been like, I'll put this glove here and this blood over here.
Well, and by the way, how do you think the sheath ends up there? Because like a sheath, you usually snap it onto your belt, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
It's a surprise attack. He's kind of dressed in ninja type gear. I am wondering how that, and probably a little bit of a struggle because there are two victims. That's my guess. There was a little bit of a struggle, and it came off, and he just didn't realize it. Because then on the way down, again, there's another.
He may have held it in. He may not have put it on his belt. He may have held it
if it's fastened to your belt, because don't they go through your belt? But maybe he was it was handheld, so he could have this dramatic action of going like that,
and then dropped it,
and then it dropped it and forgot to pick it up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's not. I don't think that this does anything except it's their way of trying to invalidate the search warrants.
But they're going to use it at trial. Al. There's no way they don't use it at trial.
But the point is this: if
that's what defense attorneys do, they muddy the waters.
If they muddy the waters, they muddy the waters. But the waters, the problem with muddying the waters is that you can't explain away the sheet. Okay, so unless he gets up on the stand, which I know that's not going to happen, and says, it wasn't me, I've been framed, it was those other guys, because that's the only way they're going to be able to get that in. All right, that you know, these guys, the guys that did this,
he has to get on the stand and say my knife was stolen.
They stole my knife on the camping trip, and then they did this, and boom.
Can't they get that in by asking the investigators? You know, did you find anything else?
Oh yeah, they'll get it in. They'll get it in,
but they're not getting in that I've been framed.
Right, the framing.
Well, that's what closing arguments are for, right?
No,
yeah, but
you can't bring that up without evidence.
You need a factual basis, really.
Right.
This is an amazing comment. Greetings. This is from A. Rosing. Greetings from Cologne, Germany. I'm a prosecutor here, and I love your show.
Alice. That's excellent. Very, very, very nice. Thank you. And
a German prosecutor.
Can I just bring one thing, because I saw one of the comments that came up, and I think that this just needs to be brought out there. That Big Girl for Life just pointed out that today is her grandmother's 107th birthday.
Wow.
I mean, God bless. And that she's a big fan of yours, Vinny. Now, I mean, I'm bringing this up, and as a big fan of yours, I know you would ordinarily think I'd only bring it up if they said there was a big fan of mine. But I'm bringing up the fact 107, God bless. That's very
amazing.
Beautiful.
Happy birthday.
Thank
you so much. How about Shay B? Red herring was once used by and actually it's true crime connected.
Oh,
used
nice.
by escaped prisoners to throw off the trail of the search hounds.
Well, that's interesting. Pepper is another thing that used to throw them off.
Where are prisoners getting red herring?
At the Jewish deli.
They break out, go to the Jewish deli, and then start throwing the red herring.
Or maybe they had special needs meals.
The B'nai B'rith Penitentiary has that. It's served every other Thursday for Shabbos.
Well, perhaps an imprisoned rabbi like Norlander or something like that needed some sort of like special meal.
I just don't think they serve smoked herring in Sing Sing.
So what are we going to have today? Red herring again?
You don't think
herring again? Can we cook something else, Saul? My goodness gracious, herring again.
What about the pastrami?
I just want some borscht. Can we have some borscht?
And the krepla. If you can't have a good krepla, that's not good. If you can't have krepla. So and of course, you know, you got to have the matzo ball soup.
Matzo ball soup. Matzo ball soup, when it's good, is great, but when it's bad, it is horrific.
I had it at a Jewish diner in the city of New York, so I assume it was a good place to order it. And I really didn't like the dryness inside the ball. You know, like to me, like a cracker. You put a cracker in there, the whole thing's soggy. Yum yum yum. But the dryness in the center of that matzah. Yeah.
What? That's not the way it's supposed to be. You had a bad matzo ball.
You had bad matzo ball soup.
Matzo ball is soaked in, and it's completely moist throughout the entire
Well, by dryness, I mean like not saturated with the soup itself because it's on the inside.
It's supposed to be saturated with the soup itself.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Camilla Jorgensen with a super sticker. Thank you.
Hey,
Yay.
Thank you, Camilla.
Thank you,
DKK. I forget what country that is.
Which one?
DKK is the money in some country, but I don't know which country that is.
The EKK took my baby away. Oh, that was a KKK.
Gringa. What if this was just an experiment for BK to prove he could commit the perfect crime?
Well, he didn't do a good job.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who tries to do the perfect crime is a perfect fool.
Well, if they do, we don't catch them.
True.
So we don't know how many people out there have actually committed the perfect crime because they haven't been caught. Right? If you get caught, it's not the perfect crime.
That's a good point.
But I think that I am with Gring. I think that's his motivation in all this. I think obviously I think there's some sort of psychological problem, not legal insanity, but a psychological problem that he's wired differently, and he becomes obsessed with criminology and wants to go out there and actually to study it. He wants to actually do it, to understand it. I think it's that. I think it is that deep within him because he's studying this stuff. He's obsessed with this stuff. He's got a lot of other strange things in his life, stages that he's gone through with extreme obsessions with things, from what he eats to germs and other things. But at the end of the day, I'm with Gring on this. I think it wasn't like, I don't think there was any sort of obsession with these particular people. I don't think there was any objectification of these particular people. I don't even know if it was driven by any sort of sexual desire. I think it was extremely warped, that he wanted to experience this because this is what he studied, and he really couldn't understand in his mind. To truly understand criminology and the criminal mind, you have to actually do it. Well, that's how off the road this guy was.
Vinny, if you take back, you look at like the so-called perfect crime thing, but that's what Leopold and Loeb was supposed to have been able to pull off when they had killed that Red Rum, the young boy, and then they were defended by Clarence Darrow in their trial. And what they had wanted to do was to see if they could do the perfect crime, that they had set everything up that would be perfect. But the one mistake they made was that one of their sets of glasses fell off near the body. And then that's how they were able to link it, to them.
Same thing here.
Same thing. Yeah. So
there's a very unique coincidence going on, that it's a quest for the perfect crime, and then it's fouled up by just one misstep.
Now, without that DNA, I don't think there's an arrest.
Ever?
Well,
no, I don't think there's an arrest unless he said or did something down the road. I don't think they are able to identify him. I really don't. Without the DNA.
When you start looking at the vehicles that were in the area, I mean, they could have backtracked it that way. I mean, the evidence in this case is not just the key. That the DNA is obviously key, but it's not the only evidence.
But it's exactly what led them to him.
And it didn't also lead them to the videos and stuff like that, because
the videos, you don't have a license plate. There's no license plate on it. His cell phone he turns off that night, so his cell phone's not pinging in the area. There's just a mystery white Elantra. They don't even know the exact year of it. So there's tens of thousands of potential white Elantras. His was registered in Pennsylvania at the time. So they wouldn't have tracked this guy down. I just don't think they would have. I think they may have tracked down this other unknown male DNA. I think that's where they would have gone with the investigation potentially.
Well,
And track down whoever's DNA this is, like, because we don't know who it is. You'd have to kind of do the same genealogy search and hope that you're able to figure it out.
But it's less, you're in a college town, you're in a college area. There's tons of college parties going on. I don't think it's that odd that you would be able to find something there.
I know, but they have nothing else. This is I honestly believe it would have been the focal point of their investigation.
And that was my point about the banister blood, but the glove outside, I mean, that's too much of a coincidence. It just happened to have blood on a glove.
It could be for any reason whatsoever. It gets cold there. You have your fingers are chapped and they bleed. I mean, who knows?
However, let's just play complete hypothetical. Let's say there was no knife sheath, right? And let's say that glove was found outside with blood, male DNA. They track down the person. That person gets arrested. We're all going to believe that's the person who did it. We are. Absolutely. Wow. There's no way we're not going to believe that. And that person better have an alibi.
Right. There's a little bit more than there's a little bit more to it than just that. But I mean, you certainly would have a finger being pointed at you. That's for sure. But
you would be arrested.
Look, when you arrested. There's an old adage with regards to attorneys and when they handle cases like this. If you've got the law but you don't have the facts, you pound on the law. If you've got the facts but you don't have the law, you pound on the facts. If you don't have the facts and you don't have the law, you pound on the table. Okay?
What if you don't have a table?
Well, then you
take your shoe off and you start pounding with your shoe.
Dogs discussions. Montreal bagels are the best. Has anyone?
Please,
I've never had a Montreal bagel, but how do you beat
Montreal bagels? Montreal Canadiens were a great hockey team. No argument there. And I believe that they use their bagels as pucks. That's what I tell you about Montreal bagels.
Hey, the Expos were cool.
I don't know. How can you judge a Montreal bagel without actually having one?
You can't. But isn't widely accepted that New York bagels are where it's at?
Not accepted by dogs.
Montreal,
not accepted by dogs discussion. Like Montreal, they could be fantastic. I don't know. I've never had one.
Montreal is French. Okay. There are no great French bagels. Simple.
What would you say if, somebody said Peoria has the best pizza?
Huh.
I would say, pound salt. It's absolutely false.
Hey, pound salt.
Lisa Whitenauer, I just have to say happy Valentine's Day to the Tangents, and also let Vinnie know every night that you are on. My husband says, "Oh, I'll leave you alone. Your Vinnie crime porn is on."
Wow, that's very nice.
That's funny, nice. Lisa.
Oh, by the way, we have no show Monday, Vin. You and we're not on.
I know it's President's Day. It's President's Day. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we've got a follow up. Shay B is is this day in herring history. It's amazing. Herring was a very cheap meal in the prisons way back in the 30s and 40s. So it goes way back.
Huh.
Like how lobster used to be a peasant food. Lobster was a peasant food?
When was that?
Wow.
I never heard of that. Never heard of that. In fact, I can tell you that doesn't make any sense because they used to use monkfish, and they would cook it, they would broil it and put butter on it and call it poor man's lobster.
When? In the 30s and 40s?
Yeah. And through the 60s and 70s.
Well, the
That's
60s and 70s is not the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like lobster was always.
I don't
always thought
know.
it was
I don't.
expensive.
Why do I trust Shay B? I think I trust Shay B on this. It looks like she has really studied
Food history.
this food history. We have an in-house food historian, or is it
You know
just
what?
seafood?
Well,
I don't doubt it, because lobster is something you can go out and catch yourself, right? And if you don't have a lot of money, something you can catch yourself.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one in the wild?
Yes.
You have?
Wild lobster.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you see a lot? In the Caribbean? The fake
Yeah, the
lobster
Caribbean.
or real
And
lobster?
the Caribbean lobsters, not up in Maine. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because like I said, the water's really cold up there. Caribbean lobster, that's not even real lobster. Come
Nah,
on.
it's lobster tail. It's not
That's
the same thing.
fugazi lobster.
Lobsters are disgusting looking creatures. I couldn't
Yeah,
bring myself to tear one of those apart and eat it.
They're the roaches of the sea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Breaking news from Mary D. Al, will you be my Valentine?
Since I have no Valentine, I would be more than happy to accept that, because you know, as my friend Bruce would say, and I'll change the words around, Vinnie, the waitress I've been seeing has no desire for me. So I will be alone tonight.
Who was the waitress? Was it Brandy?
No, it was
She's a
Sandy.
fine girl.
He was
She's a very
singing to
fine
Sandy.
girl.
He was singing to Sandy, but it was the waitress he was seeing had no desire for him. So
Al, I have to ask you something though, because every time I look at your name, in today's world, you look like AI. Are you real or are you AI?
I have also noticed that since AI has become so popular, of seeing it written about or referred to. When I see Al's name now, I see AI. I need reading glasses. I have to squint.
I know.
Believe me. No one is going to think you're real.
I know. Believe me, I have that same problem. That's why I'm changing my name to Dolores.
Just like Max Headroom.
And Ashley Bouchard, one of our members of our mod squad. Al, I hate the word moist, so please don't use it.
Do you know that a lot of people have a problem with that word?
So let's not say it.
You know, my mind goes places when I hear the word moist.
Anyway, Ashley Bouchard, part of the mod squad.
Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Don't dare attack. We've got order in this chat. The mod squad is on the job, helping us to keep it clean. The mod squad is on the job, always so nice and never mean.
Ah, yes, our mod squad, Gen X, Frankie Figs, Jennifer Stube, Ashley Bouchard over on Facebook. Thank you for all the work you do during the show and then between shows. I mean, it's like a 24/7 job.
Yes.
Being a moderator. So we very much appreciate it. Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Mary with a big, let me replace this. Mary, the glove was actually found by retired police detective Chris McDonough, who does the interview room on YouTube. You guys should be subscribed to that. He does some really interesting stuff. He called the forensic team to collect it. And I spoke to him about this, and I think he has video of himself. So after the crime occurs, Chris McDonough goes out there doing some videos for his, and I don't know if he was there coincidentally in the area or if he had gone specifically to go there. I can't remember the story, but he's there with his wife. And I think his wife may have actually spotted the glove, and then he sees it, memorializes it on video, and then calls police to come retrieve it. It's sort of on the edge of the property. If you recall, and I don't know if there's any video here of the house. Let me see if there's any video here of the house. We may have. Okay, so here's the house. That's after the fact when they put up the fence. But when the crime first happens, the road right in front of the house, you know, all the media is parking there. People are doing live shots, Court TV's out there. Everyone's there, Nancy Grace, etc. And the glove was found. So what wasn't clear from the glove is whether or not it was potentially dropped by a member of the media or someone who was just kind of like looking, because it's right close to the edge of the crime scene.
What was the time frame, and where is this?
I think he's there 3 to 4 days after it happened.
That's too much for me. And where's the police detective from?
Chris McDonough. He's a retired police detective. He does a true crime on YouTube now. It's called The Interview Room with Chris McDonough. He comes on my show all the time as well as an expert.
So I think the prosecution can explain away the glove then.
Maybe they might be able to explain it away, or but it's at a point before they identify the suspect, so it's still well. And Chris has said that. He said, "I found it. It could very well be connected, right? Where did they search? Do we have any video of that area beforehand? And remember, some of the weather. There was also snow happening at the time, so there's a reason for people to be wearing gloves, obviously, and
it could be buried in snow somewhere,
right? So it's not clear, but I think he would be a witness. I think he might be subpoenaed in all this, or his wife, in order to get the testimony about it being there.
I mean,
okay.
I once slipped in the middle of the street outside of my place during a snowstorm, and I went down hard, and I was in the middle of the road, and somebody tried to help me. I cried. I rolled over, took a moment, and got out of there. My glasses were found later that spring. Months later, my sunglasses were found underneath the snow. So I don't know, but what I'm trying to say is yes, it could have been there.
And what I'm saying, Jonesy, is, are you missing a glove?
I'm not missing a glove. No.
Okay. Deborah Demuriak, Jonesy, will you be my Valentine? Love you.
Oh, well, I thank you very kindly. I'd love to be your Valentine. Will you be mine?
No, that's
so let's dive a little deeper into this. What does it mean to be someone's Valentine?
Well, you know what, Vin, if you hit the little song
to civil rights and all the revolution fights, World War I and World War II,
Big one.
I'll always knows who is who. It's this day in history, this day in history, history. Now let's listen to his story.
What's your story today, Al?
All right. Well, it doesn't necessarily have happened on this day, but today is Valentine's Day, as we all know. And Saint Valentine was a 3rd century Italian saint. Okay. There's not much that's known about him, but it is believed that he was a priest who was persecuted for converting many to Christianity, and was also married Christians. So that was something that the Roman emperors at the time didn't want troops to be married, because it would basically hold them to not be paying attention to being a soldier, and it was a distraction. So he was doing that. He was imprisoned.
Wait, the ancient Romans thought that having a wife, that all wives were distractions?
But they're so, like the Christians were basically their army guys. So what they were doing was they wanted them concentrating on being, they didn't like them being Christians, first of all. But then if they were married, that they felt that was a distraction. So what was happening was they were basically telling them not to get married. And this was the Emperor Claudius. Claudius had him imprisoned. He was subsequently martyred and was given the opportunity to repudiate Christianity, and did not do it. There were stories that came down that while he was in prison during that time, he became friendly with the jailer, and the jailer had a daughter who was blind. And it was said that through the intercession of Saint Valentine, she was able to get her sight back. And the term Valentine comes from the fact that the last note he wrote was to her, and it said, "From Valentine." Okay, from your Valentine. And that's how we get the Valentine cards and everything else. Now, there's three people that could have basically filled the role as this Valentine, so it's not very, very clear. His execution was he was beaten with clubs and then beheaded. So that is the history of Valentine's, St. Valentine, who we know Valentine's Day.
What does it mean to be someone's Valentine?
So it, as it was basically in this instance, the fact that, it was his last note, aside from your Valentine. So
Gotcha.
That's how we got that. But other things that happened today, last show, we did a lot of, and there was a lot of comments about the knack. And today, Doug Feiger died in 2010. So he was the lead singer and the man who wrote all those songs. Okay, on this day in 1849, the oldest photo of a serving U.S. president is taken in New York City by Matthew Brady.
A starving U.S. president?
No, serving U.S. president. Okay, so anyone figure out who the president was in 1849?
No.
All right, our survey says, ding, James K. Polk. So James K. Polk is the first serving president to get his picture taken by Matthew Brady. It's the first time that a picture of a serving president is put up and in the newspaper, and it was actually available to be sold. Now, in true crime history, two very, very horrendous incidents, and I'll do the.
All right, Al, just be careful how you describe them. That's all I'm going to say. Just be careful how you describe them, because we keep getting struck.
On this day in 2018 was the Parkland school shooting.
Yes.
17 people red-rummed, youngest being 14 years of age, 17 others badly injured. The piece of garbage that did this pled guilty. They thought he would be given the D-pen. It did not work out that way. He is now serving. He pled guilty to all of the charges, and he's serving life without parole. Okay, so that's one. The other one is
wait. We've got a picture of Polk.
James K. Polk. There you go.
It's a collectible.
It is.
All right, go ahead.
And the other is the famous St. Valentine's Day Massacre. On this day in 1929, okay, 7 gangsters of the Bugs Moran gang were summarily.
Rub you out.
No one messes with a frog, she. So Bugs Moran, who got the name Bugs because he was jumpy and a bit of a nut, and his gang was in a war with Scarface Al Capone. And this was during the time of Prohibition in 1929. It was a question of who was going to have certain neighborhoods and be able to control the alcohol, the illegal booze that was being sold back and forth. There were murders going back and forth. Everything's going back and forth with regards to various gangsters. And then this happens. On that day, early in the morning, the Moran gang was supposed to be meeting some individual who was going to be delivering some very, very low, some alcohol at a very low cost. They showed up there. Unfortunately for whoever was involved in the execution of this entire process, the Bugs Moran got there late, saw that there were 2 policemen that went in and speared around to another place, and the 2 people in dressed as police, 2 people dressed as undercover, put these individuals up, 7 people up against the wall, 5 of which were actual gangsters, 2 of which were actually just mechanics in that garage, and they were summarily red-rummed on the wall. Al Capone was in Florida, So he had an alibi that he was not involved with the case. It was the first time that a mobster, in this instance, Bugs Moran, called out Al Capone as being responsible for this. Generally, there was a kind of a silence that went forward on this.
Right.
And one of the individuals that was in the garage survived for a little bit of time and was asked who did this, and he refused to answer because it was a code of silence. And so he told, and this crime is one of the largest crimes that has never been solved in the history of United States true crime.
Was that the night Chicago died, or no? That's a different night.
No, that's a different thing. That was involving allegedly police and that.
That's when a man named Al Capone, I think,
tried to make that town his own.
Yeah,
and he called his gang to war and the forces of the law.
Paper lease.
They were fighting against the police department, and this was two rival gangs going. The interesting thing is this: Capone is not able to be brought up on trial for this, but this act so enraged the public that they started looking into Capone more carefully, and then they came up with this idea about getting him for income tax evasion, which, interestingly enough, that's how he gets brought down,
right?
Because he was making less than $3,000 a year in that roundabout, and was living in a house that was worth about $2 million. Okay, back then, right? And the estate he had in Florida was unbelievable. But what they ended up doing was, and what's interesting, they brought that prosecution, but they were technically out of time on the statute of limitations. But no one raised that as a defense.
Oh, should have sued his lawyers. Fancy Nancy, roses are red. Vinnie's eyes are blue. I love Al and adore Jonesey too.
Oh,
that's
you.
Nice.
That's very nice.
Kindly, Fancy Nancy.
Nancy, going above and beyond.
Hey, Al, did you
I
ever
may take those lyrics and turn it into a song.
So Bugs Moran was, he was part of what was called the North Side Gang. Capone worked the South Side, and Bugs Moran's guys were Irish and Jewish. That was the gang, the predominant makeup of the gang.
Together.
Of the gang. So, they had great names back then. The guy that actually worked, that Bugs Moran worked under originally was Dingbat O'Banion. That was his nickname. Dingbat O'Banion.
I get Dingbat after you. I will. I get Dingbat after you. He'll take care of you good.
He was red rummed in his florist shop, and that's how Capone took him out. And so it's a very fascinating thing to watch. The movie, The Untouchables, obviously is based on Al Capone. It's historically completely inaccurate. And there was a great TV show with Robert Stack called The Untouchables, which is a lot more fun to watch. So
Capone had a lovely prison cell at Easton, which you can tour, and I did. I'm sure you did as well, Al.
Yes, I did.
And he had furnishing and carpeting, and he had a beautiful old classic radio, which that kept him company at night. You're never alone. You're never imprisoned when you have a radio.
Well, that was the oldest prison in the United States.
Yeah,
and it was designed in such a way as to be able to rehabilitate the prisoners, and it has a tremendous. It's now privately owned, and it has a tremendous Halloween experience.
It's a great tour. It's creepy, but it's a great tour when you're in Philadelphia.
It's like Northern State Prison, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of it. And it's the only prison that actually had a dog as a prisoner. And the dog has a mugshot and everything else. The dog apparently attacked the warden, and he had the dog imprisoned. And the dog has a mugshot and everything along those lines. And Al Capone was there. And Al Capone was there, interestingly enough. Al Capone was there because they were supposed to, they were moving to execute him in Atlantic City. And he got tipped off that was going to happen. And he pulled off the road and headed towards Pennsylvania, headed to Philadelphia. went into Philadelphia, punched a police officer in the face, and then they arrested him. And then they got him for outstanding warrants that they had on him, and he ended up going into the prison. He spent his time there so that things could calm down and he would not get executed.
Shay B is back. Sorry, my education is in culinary arts and history. So trust the herring and the lobster.
The lobster, I'm not sure about. I will tell you that.
No, come on. How could you not trust Shay? Look at that face.
Shay.
Oh my goodness,
that was history today.
Gen X, I'm very uncultured. I eat Thomas bagels from the grocery store.
Oh, dear God in heaven.
I have some Thomas's English muffins in the fridge right now.
Well, that's a different story.
That's a different nooks and crannies, baby. Nooks and crannies.
Yeah.
But you know what I got to tell you? What annoyed the hell out of me was those forks split. It was like the stupidest thing in the world. You know, cut it. I mean, we're that lazy that you can't cut a friggin' English muffin.
Well, you mean the fact that you can just peel it open?
Yeah, well, it was like fork split, and it never comes across, it never pulls apart evenly. It's just annoying.
So Gen X, of course, keeping order in the chat. And Doris, order in the chat. I'll have an omelet.
Hey, that's a good one.
That's an exceptional comment.
Yes, there'll be a 50-cent surcharge. It's a free egg omelet, so it'll be $1.50 extra. But you know what?
That
3 egg. I go no lower than 4 eggs on an omelet.
I'm 3 eggs on an omelet.
No, 4
3 eggs on an omelet.
It's whatever they have on the menu, and sometimes it says 3 egg omelet.
Yeah, I'll add an extra egg.
The Waffle House.
You think you're special?
Is putting the 50-cent.
Yeah, Jonesy, part of my Italian heritage is we don't eat straight off the menu. We have to make an adjustment. I'll have that, but can you do this? And then do you have some of this in the back? Just bring that out, put it on the side.
Don't try that.
And ketchup.
Don't try that at the Waffle House.
Or is it mayonnaise and ketchup? I know you make your own salad dressing, Vinny.
Well, what happened was, and I'm sorry if I've told you this story before, but I grew up on Russian dressing / Thousand Island dressing. They were sort of interchangeable. They are slightly different, but when you go out to eat, beggars can't be choosers. And for years, throughout the 70s, you could get Thousand Island or Russian dressing anywhere. Then all of a sudden, the ranch rolled into town, and the ranch just pushed Thousand Island and Russian off the menu. So here I was trying to get a salad in like the late 80s or early 80s, mid 80s probably, and trying to get some Thousand Island or Russian dressing. Sorry, we don't have it. And then Jonesy, what would I do?
You would tell them to bring you some ketchup, and is it mayonnaise?
Yes.
And you mix it together and make your own Russian salad.
Boom. That's it. It wouldn't be the best, but it would be better than ranch.
What about Italian?
Yeah, but here's my point. My point is I was raised on Russian dressing, and then it disappeared. They took it away from me.
Oh, well, comrade. Isn't that nice?
Yeah. Lisa Whitenauer, I hate the word wiener. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me.
Huh. That's interesting.
Ooh.
What if you put the 2 words together? What if we
moist wiener? Oh, God. That sounds like a horror movie on Shudder.
That's a bad one.
Yeah.
There's a great wiener joint in Lodi at the side of the highway there. Texas Wieners.
Yeah, Texas Wieners.
JPL. Was it Jay the Stelladoro? Love this crew in chat. Have a wonderful evening.
Yay.
Happy Valentine's Day, JPL.
Happy Valentine's Day.
All right.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of good comments. Good conversation as always, even on our tangents. Shay B is just nonstop happy to help. At some point she may have to become a regular food historian now, just to fill in the The crack.
I've got no problem with that. I am more than happy to share. You know.
And I'm wondering if she's getting ready to now post about Russian dressing versus Thousand Island and what the difference is and why it disappeared. I'll keep an eye open for that.
But so with ketchup and mayonnaise, you have as I always thought that was like French dressing or something. But
no. See, French dressing's completely gone, but thank goodness, because when I was growing up, sometimes they would accidentally put the French on instead of the Thousand Island. I was like, bleh. Did not like French dressing. French dressing was much more orange.
Yeah, that's true. It is more orange.
And there was something else that they put in there that I just did not like. But French dressing also has disappeared. You know, balsamic, basically blew everyone away. And now it's vinaigrette this, vinaigrette that. And I enjoy all of that. I enjoy it. I'm not saying I'm anti that. But there are times or once in a while where I need that comfort food, where I want to get that old school flavor. Because my mother used to make the Russian dressing for us. She would put the ketchup, mayonnaise, and then some relish. And I think you're supposed to put a little vinegar in there too, maybe a little oil as well.
Yes.
My mother would make it like every night for dinner for our iceberg salads.
Irish salad, Irish lettuce,
the best. Like and I remember the salad bar, the invention of the salad bar, and this new fancy lettuce. This romaine, where did this come from? What is that? I don't even recognize that romaine lettuce.
The Steak and Brew used to have like the salad bar back, and then that became Beefsteak Charlie's, and they would have that salad bar where you would watch these people with no visible birth records whatsoever picking through the food, and then you'd have to get up there. It was like being on some sort of like troop ship.
Yes, but you can have all the wine or sangria you can drink.
That was at Beefsteak Charlie's, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So Deborah says the salad bar equals germs. It can be, but you just need properly placed sneeze glass.
Yeah, but in 1974 they didn't have sneeze glass. They had basically just everything was open and in front of you, and you'd see these people like picking things with their fingers, and I was just, oh my God, it just drives me nuts. That's why I have a heart attack at a buffet. It just frightens me.
When I lived in New York City, I used to live off the Korean Grocer's buffet, where you can get some nice fried chicken. I never really thought about germs. I just went there and went for it.
Yeah,
but that was my bachelor life there.
Not me. I can't.
Straightforward talking about the Big Mac. Now, I'm not a big Mac. My knowledge is very limited. I may have eaten one or two in my life, but I was never a Big Mac guy. But straightforward saying ketchup, mayo, and relish is what goes on a Big Mac. Is that the special sauce?
Yeah, the special sauce is probably ketchup, mayo, and relish.
So it's Russian dressing.
Basically, it's Russian dressing.
So that's where all the Russian dressing is these days, on the Big Mac.
Big Macs are pretty good. I mean, I'm not a big fan of McDonald's, but the Big Mac was always not a bad little sandwich.
Simpson Road, Larry, I love good Russian dressing. Yeah, good Russian dress. The place that had the best Russian dressing in the world was in my hometown. It's where my baptismal party was when I was a child. Pal's Cabin in West.
Oh, I was just thinking about that. Pal's Cabin.
I was going to say the Manor, but I mean, then Pal's was my second guess.
No, Pal's Cabin.
You had your communion there, so I figured it was the Manor.
Didn't Frank Sinatra perform there back in the day?
He may have. It was a place that actually started selling wieners.
Wow.
That's right.
Two friends opened up a little shack and were selling wieners. And they were friends, so they were pals. And then the little thing that they built grew into a big restaurant, and
very famous.
But it's no longer there. It's now a CVS.
No, sadly, it's gone.
Okay, this is very controversial. What Clark Rice has posted here, so let's take a moment.
Okay.
I like cottage cheese instead of dressing.
Huh.
Oh, I don't need anything that looks like it's been eaten once before.
I like cottage cheese, but I don't.
I don't.
I've never used it in lieu of salad dressing. Because back in the old days, right, when you ordered the diet plate, what was the diet plate, right? The diet plate was
cheese.
It was a
Cottage cheese.
hamburger without a bun with a
Right.
side of cottage cheese.
Right.
That was the diet plate.
Yeah. Do I look like I've been ordering the
70s.
diet plate anytime soon?
Cheeseburger, no bun, with a scoop of cottage cheese. What it really is low carb.
cheeseburger, Pepsi.
You know, I mean, just anything that is associated with the word curd, it just gets me friggin', you know, ugh. I'm not eating anything that looks like it's been eaten once before. That's my motto. Okay. I mean, I want to be the one who chews it and swallows it. I don't want to be the one who like looks at it and says, "Who chewed this before me?" And that's what cottage cheese looks like. Ugh.
So
I'm not even a fan of cream cheese, let alone cottage cheese.
See, I like both.
Cream cheese.
The only cheese I say no to is blue cheese.
Oh, I love blue cheese.
I'm a yellow American cheese kind of guy, or sharp cheese.
Sharp.
Cheddar. That's cheddar.
Extra sharp.
That's cheddar.
Cheddar.
I make the world's best grilled cheese sandwiches. What you use is Cracker Barrel, extra sharp cheese. You put it on Wonder Bread. You have in the pan. You have it the pan smothered with butter. Then you put the grilled cheese on there with lots of pepper on the sandwich, and you take a dirty can from your closet, like a big can of soup or something like that, and put it on top of the said Wonder Bread, so that it crushes it and melts it. Slice it in half. Best grilled cheese ever.
You really squash it, right?
Oh yeah.
That's the way my grandmother Flo. She was a short order cook for a time when my grandpa opened up a like a little luncheonette, and they would call my grandma Short Order Flo. And
wait a minute.
Well, when we would go to grandma, me and my brother would have like anywhere between 6 to 15 of her grilled cheese. She would just keep making them.
Wow.
Because it was all butter. There was so much butter in that bread. It was so good. But they were like squeezed way down and smashed. I think that's what you're doing there, Jonesy.
Yeah.
The problem
I use a dirty can.
The problem using the cheddar, though, is that the cheddar is like kind of oily when you heat it. You know what I mean? Like the American cheese melts nicely. The cheddar does not melt nicely.
It does with my technique. It melts enough.
Okay. Well, I think all this food talk today, I think you guys and maybe all of us for the next special episode that we do should all do one recipe and have someone videotape you making that item.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it would be nice if we could serve it to one another, but we'd have to be in the same room for that.
Yeah.
If FedEx stamp on it and send it out.
We'll see. Susie B. Now they have spring mixed greens. My dad used to say it was weeds he pulled out of the garden and threw away. Well, have you heard the story of kale?
Yes.
That kale was the largest purchaser of kale before kale became a thing was Pizza Hut. And they would just use it to sort of garnish, not to eat, but just to decorate the outside of their, I guess they had a salad bar or something. It was like the greenery. It wasn't used, like no one was going to eat it. And then all of a sudden it became a thing.
Well, look, you know what? You take a look at some of the things that, like my grandmother, when she was alive, we went to a restaurant and she saw that they had polenta on the menu. Ew. And she saw that polenta was $14 for a plate of polenta. And she almost had a heart attack. Right. She was like, we had polenta because we couldn't afford bread.
Yeah.
Right.
They're charging you $14 for polenta, which is poor man's food.
And the same thing's happening with quinoa now. Quinoa is peasant food also. All these peasant foods now become like hip and in, and then they jack up the price. Shay B with another note. Sorry, I have an appointment, but still listening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. But so
Roger Bailey, bratwurst mit pommes frites, yum yum.
Well, I like bratwurst. You can't go wrong with a good brat. I mean, good brat, good knockwurst. That's sauerkraut.
All right, everyone's hungry now, and it's getting close to that time. So let's sort of wrap this up. So, what you're saying, Al, just to bring us back full circle here, is that this unknown male DNA is being used currently by the defense as a means to attempt to get the actual DNA from the scene suppressed and kept out of the trial and kept away from the jury. I don't think any of us believe that it will be successful, but it will be an issue from this point forward in the litigation when and if there are appeals filed, if and when he is convicted.
Right.
I believe the defense is going to make a big deal of this during the trial in front of the jury, because they really, they can attack the DNA. They can, attempt to establish some sort of alibi, which they've hinted at that he has an alibi. But at the end of the day, they need to do something. They can't just sit there and take it. Like, this is a case where you're going to need to do something. And if it gets one juror distracted, I think that's what they want to do. Get at least one juror distracted, or have jurors thinking, like Jonesey said, that maybe there's more people involved in all of this. And maybe that becomes sort of a foundation during the penalty phase to keep him from getting the ultimate punishment.
Well, but see, there's nothing exculpatory here. And that's the whole problem. So what they're using it for is the only thing that they can really use it for, if they're not going to put him on the stand, which is to try to knock out the search warrants, which is a very, very smart move. I think it's an excellent strategy. I agree with you. I think it's going to be failed because they're going to throw something out on that. They always do. You rarely ever win these kind of suppression motions, but it's a great move. Kudos to the attorney coming up with that. But at the time of trial, what's it going to matter? I mean, if you've got a situation where his fingerprint is on the or his DNA is on the thing that's right where the bodies are, what is it going to matter whatsoever?
Right. But the bottom line is they're going to do something, because every defendant has a defense, and they make a lot of noise because that's their job. But the truth is, many of the defendants on trial are actually guilty of what they're accused of. So, it's not like it's exculpatory. It can't be exculpatory because he actually did it. So there is no exculpatory evidence because, he did it. So at least that's the way I'm seeing the evidence right now.
But wait, can I just say one thing? If you take a look at the picture that's up there now, it says unknown male DNA, and then it has your picture, my picture, and Jonesey's picture. We're not involved in this, okay? We're not suspects, so just so you people know that.
Once I was in the Bergen Record, there was a news article about me, and it had my picture, and it was right next to an article with a big headline about some heinous crime that some gentleman committed. And if you just glanced at it, you would think I was the guy.
Jonesy, can you get me that headline? I want to put it into the show open, please.
I have it in a scrapbook someplace.
Yeah, take a picture of it, send it to me. I'll put it into the open.
Well, when you pass the bar exam in New Jersey, the law journal would always print a picture of you as a successful candidate on the bar exam. I was clerking for a judge at the time, Judge Chelino, who was the assignment judge of Bergen County. And so Chelino said to me and my co-clerk at the time, Susan Calabrese, said, listen, go down to you got to get your picture done. And we were making $19,500, so we didn't have a lot of money to get a photograph done.
Oh, you had one of those fancy 5-figure jobs, huh?
Go down to the sheriff's department and have them take a picture of you, and then you can submit it. And I was like, great. So the two of us went down there, got the picture taken, submitted it, and I saw my height on the back of it. So there's a picture of me. There's these people pass the bar, and you see 5'10", and you see Susan Calabrese. She was like 6'1", and so it looked really good. So I had the height on the on my picture.
Angelina from
I'll try to find that
California.
and get that over to you.
Yeah. And get that to me. I'll put it in the open. Now, Angelina from California says he was watching this. This is the alibi. He was watching the stars on a drive with no sunroof on a cloudy, overcast night.
Yes.
That's basically what his alibi is, right? So,
Yep.
you know, it's tough to have an alibi if you actually committed the crime. April Diaz, since we're about to say our goodbyes, I want you all, including chatters, to be my Valentine. Have a love-filled day and a great weekend. How about that?
Very nice.
And so while we were doing this, let me got some folks in the studio. We're working on this. You ready? Let's take a listen. You ready?
Ready.
1 second.
I'm ready.
Oh, I'm ready. Ready? Yes, I'm ready.
Roses are red, Vinnie's eyes are blue. I love it all and adore Jonesey too.
Happy Valentine's Day.
How did you do
Get
that
Al
so
Green in
fast?
your house at that point in time. That's
How
really
did you
nice.
turn that around so fast?
I have people helping me. April Diaz, thank you so much. She's always so generous. We appreciate her so much. So we're almost out of time here. Any final words of wisdom or Valentines or anything from the crew?
Well, I'll just say this. Hasta la vista, Tanginistas, and the Tanginista. Oh, Vinnie, you want to bring that up?
The Tanginista items are now available in the shop. I'm going to try to, let me see if I can get a picture of one. 1 second. Keep talking, Jonesy, while I do this.
We're now working on the celebrity. That'll be the next thing that's coming up on that. And but the Tanginista stuff looks great. And you know, hasta la vista, Tanginistas, and have a great Valentine's Day. We'll not be on Monday night. Vinnie and I are off, so we will not be doing that. And I guess that's about it, Jonesy.
Well, happy Valentine to everyone. And if you find yourself alone on this Valentine's Day, remember, you're never alone when you have a radio.
And remember, you're never alone with a schizophrenic. That's another nice thing.
Ian Hunter.
That's correct. That's very correct. So,
keep talking, guys.
all right. So the other situation is this weekend, Sunday, is the 50th anniversary show of Saturday Night Live. I saw a couple comments about SNL. I would really highly recommend it. It's been a lot of misses, but there's a lot of hits that they have been able to pull across in the 50 years that they were on. It was always my dream to be a host of that show. And the interesting thing was that they have this thing where they were allowing certain people to go in, and they would let them do. Oh, there we go. There's the Viva.
It's a little blurry. I'll get a better picture later, but you get the idea. The Viva Las Tanginistas now available in the Vinnie Originale True merch shop, and this is an Original production. So
not AI.
It's not AI. You can
comes
check
in
it out.
various colors, and I would highly suggest not wearing that one with the white while committing some sort of violent crime.
Indeed. And Shay B going above and beyond, sending out a super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone. Al, where can people find you?
At Legal Weapon 3 on X, and then of course I will be alone tonight. And but I'm never alone because Jonesy said there's a radio, so I'm okay.
There you go. Jonesy, where can folks find the radio legend?
Well, I'm up and down the dial. In fact, Al, you can listen to me tonight at 11 p.m. on WSNR 62 a.m. But the best way to find me is to go to glennjones.net. Glenn with one N, like mommy intended it to be.
And you can watch me every night from 8 to 9, closing arguments with Vinnie Politan. Then 9 to 10, Vinnie Politan investigates 2 hours of live true crime on television, the only guy in the business doing it. And tonight, I've got a special tour stop. I'll be doing karaoke at Chaplin's in Roswell, Georgia.
Excellent. What song are you going to do?
Yeah, what song
It's
you doing?
Saturday night. Saturday night. What's that?
What song?
I don't know. You know, I can't sing, right? So I need a song where I can dazzle them with the performance so they don't notice that I can't sing.
Okay, so I would recommend that you do the song "The End" by The Doors. It's 18 minutes long.
Jonesy, do you have a go-to karaoke?
I've only done karaoke once. It was at a birthday party for a woman named Michelle. It was at Lee's Hawaiian Islander. And and I won the contest.
Still there every Friday and Saturday.
Yes, it is still there. I won the contest because I chose the song Michelle by the Beatles, and I spoke gibberish during the part where they sing French. And when I got off, they said I didn't know you spoke French. And I was just like making it up, like and I actually won, but it was kind of like it was because of the song choice. Birthday girl's name was Michelle. I sang Michelle.
So it was kind of the way that Tony Manero won the dance contest. It was fixed.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was the local.
Yeah,
right? The other crew danced better than he.
They was better than us. We was good. It was just different. It was just different.
Well, then I will send you a bunch of good songs to do. They're generally all punk rock songs. 18 is very good by Alice Cooper. That's a great song.
Come on. You're killing me, Al.
K took my baby away. That's always fun.
I was thinking maybe Modern English, Melt With You.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a great one. And for our age group, probably pretty popular. Has a little.
I made a pilgrimage
down to Georgia.
I made a pilgrimage to save this human race, never comprehending the race had long gone by. Comprehending. That's a multi-syllable word in poetry.
Yes.
You ever see them in concert?
What's that?
No.
Did you ever see them Modern English in concert?
No.
I have. And let me tell you, what the funny thing about it is that like that's the only song people know. And it's like and they almost hate playing the song. And I'm sitting there going, all you should do is just play that song 11 times. Everyone would be very happy.
Yes.
Lisa wants me to do Baby Got Back. Or the Jewish version, Baby Goy Back. Baby Goy Back. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, well, something. If you do some kind of rap, you don't have to sing.
Rap is hard, though.
Rap is very hard. Eminem or anything like that, it's very hard. How about Car Wash, Ben?
Yeah, Car Wash, if it's on the list. You know what? The only rap that I could do, because it's not that hard, is The Breaks by Curtis Blow.
No, Sugar Hill's very easy on that one.
Sugar Hill too. It depends on if whether or not you get to the second verse. Second stanza.
The hippie did a hip hop, you don't stop. Rock it to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Skilly bop doo wop shooby doo. Guess what? America, we love you.
We're out of time. We're out of time, guys. Jonesy, say good night.
Good night.
See all of you in court. Somebody say tangent, tangent. Somebody say podcast, podcast. Tangent, tangent. Podcast, podcast. This is the Tangent Podcast. Good night, everyone. Good night. Thank you for all your support. We are the Tangent True Crime Podcast. We'll see all of you in court. Somebody say tangent.